All right, and we are live. Good time of day.
Good evening.
And a good day.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon indeed. How is everybody doing on this great Sunday?
Beautifully.
Fantastic.
Excellent news. Yeah,
You guys-
Just like they say, another day in paradise.
Wise man once said.
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, so you might as well make it a paradise, whatever, or any location in which you are located. So, but how do we get there?
How do we get to paradise?
That is the question. What's one of the fundamental key elements that might be useful here?
Discipline.
Exactly.
Oh,
And
How
the wise
about
man
this?
once said,
This transition.
discipline equals freedom. Yeah.
Yeah, that is right. That's one of the definitions
I think
or
it does
equations.
in different areas to certain extents, discipline equals freedom, because that really only applies within areas, because you discipline in one area won't necessarily equal freedom in another. It's very segregated in that regards to, per se, time or for health. And to a certain extent, this can't be too over dedicated to just one of those things, you know?
Yeah, how about we start with the definition?
Discipline and motivation.
we start with the definition of discipline and motivation. So like discipline, I guess like in my words would be like doing something even though you don't want to do it, but because you have to do it, and doing it like you love doing it, even though you don't. Not because you're enjoying the moment right now, but because if you can picture yourself as to what your current actions are going to hopefully take you to one day, whether that be a couple months or whether that be a year or a few years, like that's like how we can stay disciplined, or that's what discipline is to me. Like just doing something with passion, with love, even though you don't have passion or love for it, just doing it because you have to do it, and doing it because at some point you can see the line you're going to, or like the finish line you're trying to reach. Then you get to that line and then you boom, you hop on the next race, move next.
And what you also said actually lines up with the Google definition of discipline. So you have one of them, the practice of training people to obey rules or a code of behavior, using punishment to correct disobedience. You have another one, a branch of knowledge, typically studied one in higher education. And then the verb, train someone to obey rules or a code of behavior, emphasized on code of behavior, using punishment also to correct disobedience.
Okay, yeah, lots of punishment going on. So, but what we started with, I think it looks like this self-discipline, actually. So yeah, if we look at this Google definition, to me, it seems like more of the social class of discipline. So, but what could be useful to start thinking with is a self-discipline. You start with yourself, right? So, and then yes, you'll be doing some things that you don't like, but where does it start? I think it starts with the mindset. How about the mindset?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you wake up, for instance, and then, yeah, well, there is something that you don't want to do necessarily. So you need to convince yourself to do that. So what's going to be kind of a
That's
good
easy.
way to do that,
You
to
wake
convince
up.
yourself?
That's easy. You wake up and like, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but like I usually wake up at the time I don't want to wake up, whether it's for work, whether it's for like errands or whatever. But like the first thing I do when I wake up is I want to go back to sleep.
Right.
But do I go back to sleep? I mean, rarely, occasionally, yeah, sure. But in the times where I don't have a choice, no, I want to go back to sleep, of course. But do I? No. You just kind of force yourself to get up. And then once you take that step, once you just, you know, like you give yourself 3, 2, 1, up. Once you do that, there's no going back. So then you just move on to what's next.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's good that you also said choice, because it's that element of choice that's all about discipline. Because even in some mindsets like, oh, this bed is really comfortable, I just want to sleep here. Oh no, I'm gonna get fired if I'm late. I don't have a choice, like I have to get out of bed and go. But then other days where it's the weekend, I can sleep in, this bed is comfortable, I can miss my workout today. That's choice. But then with every choice comes a consequence, either direct or indirect down the line. And now you have like that weekend of a workout missed. Then that goes into the next day. And then maybe that carries on like 2 weeks from now. That element of choice, Ali, what you just said, huge factor in discipline. And I think that even with discipline, like despite the whole social aspect, moving on to like the individual part, you can just say that tiny one choice does affect discipline. It's like the tiny clink in the armor. Whereas if you don't, buff it up, it's gonna shatter.
Exactly. Yeah, so this will have a very large effect, I think, to other areas of your life. Just one action, so can dictate the victory or the loss in a day, for example, or along some sort of action that you are going to do. So, but if we get back again to the beginning, so that's where I think I was experiencing most trouble for the past years until I read some literature. So if I want to do something in a disciplined fashion and I want to start, first of all, right? So how do I start? So in this case, yeah, so to count down, actually, that's a good way to do that. And basically it boils down to thinking less about what you're going to do. Because oftentimes you know that you need to wake up, right? Due to various reasons, and then you just need to do that. So thinking less does help.
Yeah, I think
That's actually
one way that I sort of do that with discipline to think less and just get the day started off the best is to put the task that I'm looking forward to, the absolute least in the day first, and then get that done first, like the most important, the most thing that I would try to avoid or put off till the end of the day or try to do it later. Then I really know, being honest with myself, that I need to do, put that first in the day, and then that starts your day off with discipline and just going in a strong, powerful direction. After that, everything seems easier. And I really agree about the choice and the decisions that go with discipline and how important that is. And I think a good way to hold yourself accountable and just be honest with yourself is to ask yourself, what's the right thing here versus what's just the easy thing. Because, you can always choose the easy path, and usually that's the more common one or the more suggested one. But then usually the right one lies somewhere else that's harder and stronger that most people wouldn't take. And that's discipline is choosing what you honestly know to be the right path for it.
Yeah, I agree about this most difficult thing first, because to some people, so maybe it's not going to be true about anybody, right? Or a lot of people. But what happens to me, for instance, today I was dreading one action, right, amongst many. And I was thinking, if I do it later in the day, then I will be dreaded by that for the entire day. But then I decided to put it first. And then you do that, you get rid of this element of fear associated with that dreadful action. And then after that, you have something, let's say, less fearful to do. So somebody might as well be not very sensitive to fearsome actions. But in my case, it was the case. And just to do it first was very helpful.
just do it.
Just do it.
That's when you're strongest and most creative, is in the morning. Have the most willpower to get that hard thing done. Right?
With me, I'm
Okay.
usually more of an evening person, not gonna lie.
You are?
Yeah, honestly, yeah, like my brain thinks a lot better at night. That's why sometimes I don't sleep early at night, because like I just have thoughts going in, and then like thoughts become ideas, and then ideas become words on paper. And then once the words are on paper, that's when sleep happens. But like, I mean, with me, especially like when it comes to like the morning, waking up, and then tasks like during the day. It's like, to me, honestly, the most difficult task for me personally is waking up at a time I don't want to wake up.
Right.
Yep.
Once I get that done, like especially for like a work day, let's say I wake up, I really don't want to wake up, but then as soon as I wake up, I'm like, okay, there's no going back now. Next. And like if you start your day on a difficult task, then that sets your momentum for the day. That's why,
Exactly.
like, you wake up, you make your bed. Do I want to make my bed? No. But do I just do it? Yes. Because then like that checks off one thing off my, let's call it, imaginary list. And then after that, it's shower, get ready for work. Do I want to go to work? Some days, sure. Other days, no. I go because I have to. Because the choice of not going to work on one day, okay, like taking a vacation day is one thing, but like just skipping out on work obviously is another. And like you do that once, twice, and then it becomes a habit. You get too comfortable, and then it comes back to bite you, whether it be in a month, 3 months, or a year from now.
Oh yeah, exactly. So we get back to this notion of the consequences that come with the lack of discipline.
Yeah.
So, but looks like the first step, if we just talk about, let's say, mundane discipline, it is to wake up. It already helps you gain the momentum to do other things. And then, according to your preference, you can do challenging tasks either in the morning, if it suits you, or in the evening, if it suits you better. So maybe it's going to be afternoon or whatever. Many people, many scenarios, but we have some sort of common scheme, I guess, for more or less everyone.
Yeah, something really interesting is that especially when someone
Elements of comedy, nice.
especially when like someone's like, oh, I want to wake up earlier. I
Yeah,
want to start being active more. How do you do it? What's your secret? Like there is no secret.
Just
You just do it. Just get
Yeah.
out of bed. But no, it sucks. Like it's so comfortable. I know.
That's the point.
That's probably going to be the
Exactly.
cheapest way as well.
what also sucks is if you keep doing this every day, if you keep doing what you want to every day for so long instead of doing what you have to, then that's gonna suck because you're not fulfilling your potential. You're not like going out there. You're not pushing yourself, whether it be physically, whether it be, you know, work style, gym, whatever. Like if you're just always comfortable, then trust me, you're not gonna go anywhere and you're not gonna like grow as a person even.
A comfort zone is a killer of growth.
That's true.
Yeah. And that goes back to the decisions that we're talking about, that, you know, choosing the right thing over choosing the easy thing is always, you know, uncomfortable, pushing you out of your comfort zone, especially like as he says, like all those days that you feel like not doing squat. If you always choose that, it'll pile up. And, you know, discipline is choosing to say, I know you feel like crap. You're going to choose your values, choose your commitments, choose to hold integrity and accountability for yourself over your feelings. So even though your feelings say one thing, you're going to hold yourself to a higher standard because you're disciplined.
Especially feelings, and like what you said, oh, like it just comes down to thinking less and doing it, because the more you spend time thinking on it, then the more you're not going to want to do it and the more you're going to like hold yourself back. But then if you just like don't think, just go out, just do it, one thing to another, then you're kind of building up your momentum, which is what we want.
Exactly.
And they say being comfortable is hard and being disciplined is hard, but we get to choose what kind of hard we want.
Oh yeah, very true. I have one example. So if just we want to connect to regular situations, so to speak, I remember once it was the month of June, so around June 1st in some year, I bought a roof rack. And then I was going to assemble it, put it on the top of my car. And then I kept thinking about that and rationalizing how I will do it a little bit later. And guess what? It was the Independence Day, the 4th of July, when I finally assembled the roof rack and put it on the top of my car. So it took a month to accomplish one simple action.
It's quite a long way from June, but I mean, it was done.
Yeah. So that's again one thing. So if I, for example, had not thought about it that much, then I would have done it in just a matter of half an hour or something like that. So whatever it took me on the 4th of July to assemble this. So yeah, I'm sure everybody can find examples of that nature in their lives, about the maybe unfinished or empty carton of milk in the fridge that they were trying to or delaying to get rid of.
Which reminds
So-
me, I need to empty out my fridge.
Things like that. So yeah, we have some practical reminders right here.
Yeah.
So to everybody.
Those days when you're really not feeling it, I feel like the best way to maintain your discipline is to remember the purpose behind something. Remember, your accountability to what you set out to be your goals, like why you're being disciplined. It's not about feeling good just in that moment. Like I think people get conflated with doing something that you love versus loving every second of doing it. Like Aziz said, like you might not enjoy every second, and like you can totally be doing something you love, realizing your dreams, living them every day, but you're not necessarily going to love every second of it. Not everybody has a great second every day, so it's just about pushing through it because you believe in the purpose of whatever you set out to do. You established it, and then have something to lean back on in those shitty days.
I love that.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's right.
exactly, 100%.
So it's something about discipline maintenance, because just like with any process, so there is a start, right? Start to your discipline. So well, we have some approaches, right? But how do we maintain it? Then yes, we can think about the purpose, some kind of long-term usage for the discipline. So I think you can think about that and then determine that for your life scenario or life circumstances at the moment.
And I love the fact that you brought up maintenance, because maintenance is one of the hardest things to do. Like example, discipline, and let's say the gym. You go to the
Yeah.
gym or you do your workouts or anything, you have a goal to reach. And then once you reach that goal and you're satisfied, you're not done. You have to maintain it. And that's the most difficult part, I think, maintaining. Because when you reach your goal, you kind of like reach the first step of where you want it to go with your discipline, with like your choices and all. But then maintaining it is what becomes difficult, because that's when you really have to think long term, which brings up instant gratification, delayed gratification. Like, do you want to be happy now and kind of like eat sheet later? No. Or like, do you want to push through it now and then kind of like search for like that long-term fulfillment, that long-term satisfaction and happiness? And that all comes down to like maintaining your good habits, maintaining your discipline, which some days is going to be very difficult, other days it's going to be not so difficult. But the difference is like, do the same as you would on a difficult day than you would on an easy day. Or if you have to do more, do more. If some days you have to do less, that's okay. But just do what you have to do.
That's good.
And not what you want to do. Okay, you can do what you want to do at points to like reward yourself, but don't do what you want to do if you're not doing what you have to do. That's my way of saying it. Don't know if you guys like it.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about that. So yeah, maintenance, that is definitely a difficult part. That's maybe when it helps to believe in the purpose of discipline. For example, sometimes what happens to me is that there is something that, let's say, I don't want to do, and I feel bad about that. I feel negative, maybe a little bit depressed and things like that. But if I believe in the discipline, then eventually the mood becomes better. So that is a kind of like helpful nugget, which I decided to use because I started thinking about it forcefully. Okay, I will believe in my discipline for today, and this will help me. And then eventually you'll start feeling better quite instantly, actually. So yeah, don't forget about the purpose for your discipline.
Yeah, the good great part about that is what you just said about like doing the good things that gets you feeling better and doing more, because like it's so much about that kind of that flow or that progression or, what people call like momentum that builds up when you're choosing the right things over the easy things, and have, that momentum builds up. It gives you motivation to keep doing that. When, the more, the temptations and that sort of thing, they catch you when you are weak, when you are choosing the bad things already, that the temptations are more powerful because you're letting your guard down and being weaker.
That box of Oreos is looking extra nice today.
Damn,
Those are the voices in your head. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
and it's great that you mentioned that too, because that, like, spark is the great difference between like inspiration versus motivation. Because I can bet you, like, I can probably go to YouTube, type in like motivational video, find Arnold saying, "Come on, get to the gym, just do it." And then like you're gonna say like, "Oh, I can go to the gym now," and then you feel motivated.
Right.
But motivation dies out quicker.
it's temporary.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
it's like a temporary fix. Whereas inspiration, it's so hard to kill inspiration if it's real, because it's an idea that's not only like instilled in your mind, but it's like engraved in your mind. It's like that ultimate goal, even purpose that you want to like chase or achieve. Like, let's say, running time, fitness level, jujitsu skill, all of that. If you're so inspired, nothing will stop you. Even if you're so unmotivated and you just feel tired, you're gonna wake up out of bed and you're gonna say like, "No, I have to do this." Whereas if you're motivated, you'll be like, "Oh no, like, yeah, sure, why not?"
You'll think you need to get motivated to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? You're not gonna get motivated. You just gotta do it.
Exactly.
Not always going to feel great.
Oh no.
And it comes back down to that's always deciding, right? Like the people that you see that are great at something, you're like, holy shit, they decided so many times to train over other things that would have been felt greater, felt better at the time.
Yeah.
That's discipline.
And especially thinking about it like as that matter of choice. Because me 6 years ago, I didn't even have that mindset of like, okay, what are the choices I'm going to make today that will help me tomorrow, that will help me a month from now, a year, 5 years from now. And even when like you're laying in bed, you don't want to go to the gym. And if you think to yourself, I'm making a choice right now. And that choice is like not holding up my standards. Then you start to feel it in you. You're like, nope, gotta do it. Have to do it. You get that inspiration back.
Yeah, which is also like, I mean, it's like, let's say like a typical morning where you wake up and you have something on your list that you need to get done, whether it's work, whether it's exercise, whether it's an errand you have to do. Obviously, like turning off that alarm and going to sleep is what's going to make you feel good at the moment, hence the instant gratification.
Yeah.
I mean, like the word instant also brings the word temporary. Like you're going to feel good at the moment because you're sleeping, yeah, but then like you wake up and then you're like, oh no, I missed this, I missed said activity, I missed said errand. Then that's when you start to feel like shit, because like you made the choice of being comfortable at the moment, and then once you realize that small moment was over, like that extra hour of sleep, that extra half hour of, I don't know, TV, whatever. Like it was good at the time, but then like once that moment's over, how are you gonna feel? Probably not good.
You're gonna want it again. You're gonna go for it again.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna
As
get back
become
in the cycle.
And the
addiction.
danger is making it a habit.
Weaker to the temptations.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so inspiration in this case will be something more long-lasting than motivation, right?
Inspiration comes from here and here.
Okay. So, and then this could become, in a sense, a fuel for discipline.
Mhm.
This
Yeah.
will give you the grounds to become and continue to be a disciplined, action-oriented person.
Absolutely.
I think just in general, the best way to build discipline is do something that you don't like. Like me, I used to hate running. There's no way in hell you could get me to run.
Oh, yeah.
enjoyed lifting weight. I enjoyed lifting weights a lot more. So in a way, I was motivated to lift weights but not run. So then running, what did that do? Didn't really do much, but at first it's like, come on, run with a friend. Get that going. And then over time, that slowly just builds up over and over and over. I still
Are
hate
you
running.
running now?
No. I'm using a bicycle.
Jump rope. It's much nicer than running.
Hmm. Oh, jump rope is so much fun.
I love
That's a
it.
good proxy.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So like there are ways around many things.
Yeah, you could definitely find substitutes. But like running is an example here.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like you can chop it up and kind of hold yourself to understanding it in two ways. All of it applies, it boils down to these two categories of sort of having integrity with yourself and temperance. So integrity being, being true to yourself and true to what you say to yourself and others and living true to that. And then, doing what you say you're going to do and following through on that. And then also temperance of not doing what you shouldn't be doing and limiting that and limiting yourself and saying no and making the right decision on the opposite side. So saying yes and making the right things happen and also saying no and stopping the wrong things from happening.
I like that.
Exactly.
Exactly. But can I
Yeah.
tell you guys a story
Sure.
of an ancient me from 6 years ago?
Oh, wow. That's quite ancient indeed.
Oh, it's super ancient. Aziz, into you know this one.
Maybe.
Was it summer 2015 or 16? Correct me in this one. But all of the choices that I made in the day revolved around that like instant gratification. So the choices I made after coming back from class was not, pop open a textbook, review what I had, or eat a healthy meal. Nope. Drink soda,
Calzone and gaming.
eat a calzone, and play video games all day and sleep really late, wake up tired, miss a few classes the next day, rinse and repeat.
See,
And
because that.
especially,
Okay, keep going, and then I'll
yeah.
say that.
And even all of these classes, looking back, I'm like, I wasted opportunities there to like improve my grade, improve my ethics, improve my work ethic. But then, I was so glad that I spent one summer like practically alone. I know I was with you. Hmm. But that one summer, just like sitting down saying, what did I do this year? Like it was all one blur, nothing, nothing accomplished.
Nothing to be proud of.
Yeah, no, literally nothing to be proud of. Just sitting back saying, what did I do? I played games. I got fat. What did I do? Nothing, literally nothing. So then I was like, okay, what can I do now? Okay, let's go to the gym. As me and Aziz go to the gym. Literally sucked the first day there. Aziz can make fun of me of it. Not even
It's
not
okay.
even able. Yeah.
It sucked for all of us.
It did. Like barely being able to do a pull-up that first day.
Oh,
But then I
wow.
was like, yeah. Then literally I was like, okay. Every day I show up here, I'm gonna try my best to do one. And if I can do one, I'm gonna try two. And then after 1 week, it turned to like 1.5, and then it just like kept adding up. A month turned to 5, 2 months turned to 10, but like really painful 10, not like the super athletic 10. But it was that thing, that moment of going from what can I do now? One small step, go to the gym. But I know it's one small step, but like some people might be like, oh no, that's a big step. No, that's a huge step for me. But trust me, just walk inside and start sweating.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is a great story. And actually, I heard something similar from another friend of mine who was also going to the University of Rhode Island. So, and at some point, he was just taking classes and then just doing what he was supposed to do, kind of studying, but he didn't really have a sense of direction about where he was going, what his selected major would have to be in, let's say, like a year from to the moment when you have to make this major decision, pun intended. So, and at some point, so he was thinking about that, and he decided, okay, what if I now will be taking the 100% out of every day at the university, for example. And then since that moment, the life changed dramatically, and this person achieved great heights and keeps going. So yeah, it just starts with some sort of self-reflection. Oh, why am I cruising right now? What if I start putting in 100% of what I can, for example, like just tomorrow, for instance, and then with some practice, it will be better and better. So, but yeah, sometimes you might hear a story like that, or just self-reflect about where you are now, let's say without much discipline, and where you can be just tomorrow with more discipline.
I like to think of this as like, let's say you're driving around in your car, you're going to a place you haven't been to before, and think outside of Google Maps. No Google Maps or anything. You're just like relying on how to get there. You're like run by a few bumpy roads, you run by a few places that like you don't want to go to. Think of this as like your life story. I mean, like in everyone's life, we were all at places where we didn't want to be because of the things we did or the choices we made. But I feel like that's always supposed to happen to us. Like you're always supposed to be in places you don't want to be, because now you know where not to go. You know what not to do. Because that's like the only way you learn. The only way you learn is if you fail. Because like, I mean, if you fail, you can do one of two things. You can just like dread and give up and not go try again. Or you can be like, okay, what can I do differently next time? How can I fix this? How can I avoid this happening again? And then you just learn. And then you take a different route to get to where you want to. And then you're there. And then you keep going.
Never finished.
Exactly. Finished is the F word. Once Aiden told me. And Aiden, like I remember one time you were telling us this thing, and I'm never gonna forget this. Like your efforts, your work, what you do during the day, you told me once to think of it as an investment. Now, people who like invest money and all, we want to like, we do it because we want to see long-term gains. We want to see long-term growth.
Mhm.
Like if you look at stocks day to day, if you look at your portfolio, whatever day to day, you're going to see good days, you're going to see bad days, you're going to see good weeks, you're going to see bad weeks. But then if you look at it over the course of a year, a few years, you're going to see nothing but growth. That's how it is for us. Like we're just investing our time, we're investing our efforts to get to where we want to be. Some days will be good, some days will not be good. That's okay. Because like, as long as we have that aim to get to where we want to go and we can see that finish line, we get there. And then we're not finished, and then we move on. We keep going.
To bigger things, and that's so true. And that's why I think when it comes to building discipline too, and for choosing these pursuits in your life, it's great to pick things that are never finished, things that you can practice and get better at, but never be best or never be completed or never be done with, things that will continue to like pay off in different ways, with your time, with your happiness, with your family or friends, or with money, or with skills. Anything. Pick something that you can continue to get better at, but you're never done with. Like jujitsu, for example, you can practice that for years and years and years and still learn something that you've never even heard of and continue to practice it. And I think those things build the best discipline and the best, positive habits in your life.
Yeah, exactly.
I like.
So yeah, this thing with the discipline and the undone things can also go to just things on your to-do list, right? So which you need discipline to do. And then what I was also thinking, I found that's useful for myself, this the simple act of prioritization helps actually get rid of the tasks on the to-do list. So that's one thing. And the other one is that not to overwhelm yourself with the tasks. For example, in my inbox to-do list, I might have maybe right now it is, for example, 10 tasks or something. But for every day, for the 2 days to-do list, I will just select 3 of them and then do them. So that's just a kind of simple trick, which I found useful for myself. But what about prioritization? How do we prioritize?
I think the basic thing would be what's urgent, like what has to be done as soon as possible, code red level threat, danger zone. This is something that like needs to be done. Woo, woo, woo. And then, because even if you're like, oh, this task is easier, but it's not really number one on the list. But then, how do we, determine what number one is on the list? Like it could be the difference between, oh, I have a report due by the end of the day that my boss wants, but I also have a meeting with a client in about like 3 hours.
Which I
I'm
need
not
to
gonna
prep
sit in
for.
the, yeah. I could do some of that report in those 3 hours, prep for the meeting, but then I can't just do that report that's due at the end of the day when, a client wants to meet with me in 3 hours. And be like, no, I need stuff ready for this meeting. I'm not gonna walk into that meeting and be like, oh no, see, I'm just gonna do it right now at the meeting when, no, can't, it's due.
Okay,
Yeah.
urgent code red. And on top of that, there could be also the
Mhm.
laundry that you need to do.
Yeah.
Be able to wear clean clothings to the meeting.
Yeah, and that's running on that note. What I do for prioritization, which has made me feel better, kind of on Oleg's note of boiling down the task list, is just to pick one thing in the day that's like your I don't know the word, you're unsacrificable. You're gonna do anything you can to get that one thing done.
Unskippable.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. So that one thing that you'll choose above everything else in that one day, and then and you can aim at that. And then also for prioritization, what I do is I like to plan on my day in the morning, but I only will plan up to before noon. That way, when I talk to people, get emails, go to meetings, whatever, I don't have like the rest of my day scheduled. I can get all of my important things done in the morning, and then sometime around noon, sort of look at, okay, what am I going to do with any time in the afternoon and in the evening, based on what's then the most important at that point. So I'm not just like already committed to things that might be, other things cropping up more urgent. So I kind of reprioritize throughout the day to make sure I'm focused on, what is the most important thing at the time, or best use of the time, I guess.
I like.
I'm probably more careful of how I spend my time than I am how I spend my money, to be honest. Pretty careful how I spend both, but yeah.
Well, it's
I need to be
Time
careful.
is money.
yeah, we'll become better at all the areas of life as long as we pay attention.
Continue to hack
Yeah,
away.
exactly.
Mhm.
Now
With
we need to have the
practice.
discipline to wrap it up, actually. So speaking of discipline and prioritization, and I would also like to mention the sponsors of today's podcast. As usual, this
Ooh.
is nothing and no one,
Oh.
but we have the new sponsor today, which is Discipline. How about this?
Hey,
Get sponsored
discipline
by
doesn't
your
write you
discipline.
a check.
It's free, just requires some effort.
Yeah, I mean, like speaking of discipline, like yes, we wanted to talk more about today, like temptations and gratification, but we can cover more next time. But if there's anything I want you guys to remember, and the people watching this and the people in this video, remember one thing: we are the life hackers.
Yes.
Exactly.
Indeed.
Music is playing at the end. Yeah.
Yes.
No. Soundtrack inserted. Rain money.
Exactly. Very nice selection of sounds
Always sanitize.
and the sanitizing sound. Special effects. All right, very cool. So at this point, we are going to cut this episode. And we will see you with more discipline and other topics soon.
I'm Batman.
One.
Thank you.